Hey folks, Mel the Train Tutor back in the studio, back in my happy place, and hopefully back to make you guys happy as well. And first off, no squeaky seat. Now I've got lots going on in the studio. We've had a bit of a heat wave in the country, so the studio's been a bit of an oven, so I haven't been able to actually do what I need to do on this because it involves very little water and dries really quickly, and you can't do it in the heat. And everyone knows the studio's like an oven, but I've got loads of stuff going on. And what I'm doing is, rather than presenting that in videos, I'm sharing it in YouTube shorts. I'm trying something new. They're only like 1 minute videos, yeah? And it just gets me to show you how I'm adding resin to my staff, and I'll be showing you some of the awesome stuff I've got of battle systems and all sorts of different things, yeah? So lots of little things that are going on in the studio. I'm going to be sharing on shorts, and we're going to be doing the clan gathering and that sort of stuff. I'm jumping on Discord this week. I'm nervous about it because I started it and then I had the issues and that sort of stuff, and it sort of died off. And I really wish it got itself rolling like the Terraniacs group and sort of maintained itself, but it hasn't, so it died. So I've got to start it off again. So if you were on the Discord group this coming weekend, maybe take a nose, maybe say hello to me. You'd be doing me a favour. So if you like me, you like this sort of stuff, and you are on Discord already and you're part of the group, come take a nose. I'll share some interesting stuff, but you'll be doing me a favour. Right, now, down to the video, which is a terrain video, not a chatty video. We are working on our stonework. Basically, the job is we have, let me show you, as you can see, we've got a load of stuff. Now, I started off and I weathered these when I first did the build set, but I started to build these and add them to them. Now, these have not been stippled, they've not been weathered, they've just got my base grey on. And my base grey is a custom grey. It's a mixture of my standard grey, yeah, and a little bit of sap green, which is that. And it gives me a greeny grey, but I need to highlight it, and I don't want to dry brush it, which means I'm stippling. Now, when it comes to stippling, I love sea sponges. I think they're great. You get great effects with them. Yeah. And remember, the main thing with stippling is to reduce the amount of stipple over time. So every time you add a highlight and you add more of the light stuff to the dark stuff for the next layer, what you got to do is reduce the amount of layer. Otherwise, you just coat it over and you can't actually see the gradations. Remember, when you stipple, you should think about where the light naturally hits. So, in this sort of situation, you're stippling, as the more you stipple, yeah, the more you should sort of concentrate near the top and give that natural shine, like on my forehead you lot take the mick out of. Oh, I'm not wearing the shirt. Oh, my bad, I forgot. I will wear the shirt in the second part of this video, or I will put something out with the shirt in. If anyone wants to get me something funky, I'll throw something as silly on what you call it. How about a kilt? I'll do a video in a kilt. I'll throw a kilt on for you. And if someone wants to make me do a video in a kilt, have at it. Please do. It's always a giggle. Now, there are other stuff on my Amazon wish list, and they're down there. And no, they're not. There's some there. They're going to be in a short. Thank you to the guys who got the tufts and the clump foliage. Yeah, and the clinical art therapy books. They're really good. Thank you. Yeah, but there is more stuff on there if you want to help out. In the meantime, let's do some stippling. Right. Obviously, I've got buildings to do, but I've got to do this first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mix in a little bit of my grey. Yeah, now, when you're stippling and working up, it's important you actually put a reasonable amount of base coat down. Yeah, because we're going to be working over quite a large area. And if you have to add to it, you re-darken it and then you've got to re-lighten it up. So it's best to do your best to make sure you've got enough to start off with, which I may not have, but gives me an opportunity to show you how you do it. Because you can do it. Yeah. I'm doing this on purpose. It's a learning thing. Yeah. Now, you shouldn't be worried about making mistakes because a hobby is supposed to be fun, not stressful. That's why it's called a hobby. Actually, why is it called a hobby? Why are hobbies called hobby? I know I can look up on my phone, but I want to see it in the comments. Come on. Make it interesting for me. Someone tell me. I'm fed up of asking Gemini and stuff like that. Right. So basic stipple. Yeah, I've got some on. I'm spreading it around because I want a relatively low amount. Yeah, I'm going to come along and then we're just going to add some to the rock. Yeah. And when I'm adding to the rock, I'm looking for the wetness because you won't be able to tell. Now, when you put it down, one of the key things to remember is wet paint is always lighter than dark. Wet paint is always lighter than dry paint. It's wet, it reflects the light, so it appears lighter. Yeah. Now when you're stippling, this is handy because it makes it easy to see, but you can get this idea that when you look at it and go, ooh, that's enough. But when it dries, it won't be. It'll be incredibly subtle, which is why you need to keep highlighting up. And even as you're highlighting up when you're stippling, you will sort of look at it and go, ooh, is that too much? And it isn't. Yeah, because look at what paint you're putting into it. So that's my job. I'm going to crack on with just stippling these up and doing the base coat. I've got to let them sort of dry before I do the next stipple, but that's okay. We've got a few buildings to do. So I'll come back to you once, I've done a little bit more and we can take it from there, folks. Happy times, eh? Right, cracking on. Right, folks, that's the first stipple done, and I've already mixed up a lighter version. Yeah, I've just gone 50-50 at this point. Yeah, I'm adding some paint to my stippling brush. Now with this one, it gets easier. In fact, I think I've already done these, but we'll do another quick quote because it doesn't really matter. Yeah, but because you're only highlighting, yeah, and you want the rest to show through, you apply less, a lot less. Basic way to do it is think of it as like a clock. You start off and you're doing from 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock all the way up to midday. Then you're doing from 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock all the way up to midday. Then you're doing from 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, the final bit. And that's the approach. I'm looking at that many monitors. I'm looking at myself over there. I'm getting carried away with teaching. I'm loving it. I do love sharing this sort of stuff with you. It's a lot better since my mind's got a lot better as well. So yeah, basically, you want to progressively move it up. But on the best side, what it means is, as you run out of paint, you need less paint. Now, I do need to do the greens and stuff like that. There's some stuff on there, and I've got time. I'm actually going up to Keele University tonight. I've developed an interest in stargazing. Yeah, I like learning about the constellations from the Greek myths and that sort of stuff. Yeah, and so my local university, the Astronomical Society, they have an observatory that every Tuesday they open for free for members of the public to go and use. And apparently their telescopes are historical. Now, I don't know what's historical about them, whether they're really fancy and new or whether they're really old. Knowing my local university, I think I know the answer to that one, but they're better than my eyes, and I want to go see the Andromeda Galaxy. So that's what I'm doing this evening. Now, I've also got some stuff from Battle Systems. Yeah, so I've got all their village set, and that's nice. I promoted their Kickstarter a while ago, and I was supposed to get a set then, and I hadn't, and they contacted me with about the next one, and I just mentioned it, what happened to it. They said they'd sort me. Yeah, they sorted me. So I'm going to be putting cardboard together for a while, but I'm going to have a great fantasy world. I don't think they do any other sets. But I'll do a video on that. I want to have a go and have a play with them first. Now, as you can see, I'm stippling away because I'm gossiping and I'm having a great time. Yeah, because I'm going to go see I'm going to see Andromeda tonight. Andromeda. I don't even know the actual... I need to actually find out who Andromeda is. Andromeda was a god, wasn't she? Don't tell me in the comments. I want to find this one out myself. Right. What I'm doing now is basically... I'm doing... Oh, God, I'm doing awful because I think I've just used pretty much all my stipple. Ooh, right, what have I got to do? That one. That's all right. Yeah, we can do this. We can. Right, guys. Maybe we need... In fact, we probably can't. So what I'm going to do is, while I've got you, I'll show you how I mix up. Right. When I mixed to a ratio. Yeah, and I used my spatula. So I know how much paint I start off with and that sort of stuff. Which means, very quickly, looking at what paint I've got left, I can mix up a relatively close. Now the best thing is it's stippling, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. Now what I'm doing is I'm sort of comparing off these wet bits here from the previous ones. So I didn't do it by purpose, but what I normally do is scrape the best off, put a little bit there while it's wet, so I can see what it looks like wet and then mix up to the wet blob. But I've got a few bits there, I can use those. I'm pretty good matched. So there we go, I can go off that. Clever, isn't it? Yeah. Now the important thing is when you do this, make sure you don't go over something that's already had a light coater on it, just in case this is darker, because otherwise it just ruins the effect. Right, what we're going to do with now is this one. You see how that's drying? We can easily pad that up, nice and easy. Do it. I'm doing the top halves, and then I'm concentrating. And what I'm trying to do is do like an arch. Yeah, because that gives me sort of this sort of natural highlighting. A little bit in the middle. Yeah, but I'm not doing the bottom. I like bottoms, but I ain't doing the bottom on this. I'm single. If there's any females in the Stoke-on-Trent area who like crafting, gaming and that sort of stuff, hi. Well, I've got 200,000 followers. I might as well use it for something. Tried Tinder once. I ain't going back on that thing. Jesus, bunch of narcissists or what? Across the board. Tinder, half the people on Tinder need sectioning for public good. Sorry, Tinder users. Any of my folks who use Tinder, you're obviously the good ones. But whew. Anyway, this wasn't supposed to be a talk about my dating regime. But you can find me at the Long Rest on Sundays if you fancy it. I'm straight, just in case. You never know. I've not got any problems with that. But I don't want... this is just... That's not it. If you love me, you love me. I just love doing terrain. So if you want to turn up at the Long Rest, I won't be romantically interested in you, but if you want to turn up and talk terrain, I do like company as well. Oh, I'm enjoying this new me. It's good to finally feel relaxed. It's been a long time. Right, shenanigans. What are we doing about palm trees? Because I've had no palm tree related stuff. Okay, my cat shirt was one, and I will wear it now, I've remembered. Yeah, but shall I get us an inflatable palm tree? Come on, I'll let you guys come up with some suggestions. In fact, you can jump on Amazon and that sort of stuff. I believe you can add things to your wish list. So if you order something off the wish list, you can order something else and have it shipped along with it, I think. I ticked a box. I'm not sure what it does. You know me. I'm not really into the merch stuff and all this. I'm still trying to figure it all out. But there are opportunities for shenanigans. And I trust you. About as far as I can bloody throw you. So, I'll put some things on, yeah. And I'll leave it to you to find me something to wear, daft. Within reason. I don't want any schoolgirls outfits or anything like that. Because I know what you lot are like. You like torturing me. Right, anyway, stippling. The stippling is going incredibly well when we've got a new mix. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to carry on. I'm going to carry on with this stipple. Yeah, and it's starting to really come together. And what I want to do is I want to basically take it up pretty much the whole way I want to take it. But I'm going to leave it overnight. I'm going to do my very final stipple, maybe a little dry brush in the morning. Yeah, when it's dried and I can see the effect. Because while it's wet, it does blend in rather well. And you don't really see it until it's all fully dried. Yeah, but one quick stipple will dry pretty damn quick. So it's not going to be a problem terrain-wise. We can just bang it on. So that's the battle plan. Now, I'm going to crack on with these. Yeah, and I'll be back once they're ready for washing. Bit like me. Right, folks, the stippling is dry and it is looking beautiful. Right, here, come have a look. Right, there you go. I'll show you on this piece first. When it was wet, you could barely tell the difference. But now it's actually dried, it's got a lovely effect. And the benefit of doing stippling is you get the natural shading on the underhangs. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I like it as a technique for sort of soft rocks and large pieces over dry brushing. Dry brushing can be too harsh. You shouldn't be harsh on things. Be gentle. Nice and gentle. Don't do it harshly. Anyway, yeah, here we've got a building. Now, obviously you can see it's nice and light and that sort of stuff. I've done it nice and light over there. Yeah. But if we come round to here, you can sort of see that it's darker down around here. We should be able to. I might have to get my mate Lee. Lee, if you're watching this, I think we should really talk about lighting at some point, mate, and actually get some proper studio lights in here for once. I mean, I've got them, we just need to set them up. Right, slight distraction there, but that's how the terrain shooter is rolling nowadays. This is a hobby channel. I am doing my hobby, I'm sharing my hobby, I'm sharing it with you. Yeah, I'll share all my tips and techniques, but I'm done with trying to be professional. I've been trying to do it for 10 years and I haven't got it anyway. So this is my hobby channel. I love doing my hobby. You love me doing my hobby. So we're going to hobby together. All right. So if we take the little impromptu direction to talk to a hobby mate to get us better hobby results, and that's what we're doing. Because I'm hobbying. Right. So as you can see, because I've gone for the stippling, it's darker down here. And that is giving it a natural shading. And I've applied this across a few of the buildings, a few of the things. So on this one, yeah, done this. Stippled progressively near the edges. Sort of, I didn't dry brush. Gave it a little bit of a smear. But I didn't dry brush. Yeah. But I did a lot more work towards the top of the skull towers. And the results are a natural looking effect. But incredibly subtle that you don't have the harsh dry brushing lines. Yeah, which if you're going to do washing work is really important. Now let's talk about washing work because we need to make these swampy. Yeah, obviously, poor Bob, because that's Rita and Sue. This is clearly Bob, he's laughing. He would be laughing, wouldn't he? Till the end. Anyway, heavily washed. Yeah, you can see the green effects when I apply to that. Now, this is what we're going to do, yeah? Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to give it basically a green wash, and we're going to give it a natural green wash. Now, I am using Vallejo Environment Acrylic Green stuff, yeah? And this is, it's like a drab green, okay? Yeah, like an army green, but it's got some like bits in that make it look more natural. Now, this is basically sap green with a little bit of dark grey in it. Maybe looking at it, I don't think there's any flow aid in it, but maybe a touch of flow aid. And then they've just sprinkled some flocking stuff in it. That's my opinion. Okay. Now, I'm not dissing it because one of the benefits of this is it's standardized. So when I'm doing washing work, which uses very little of this in truth, because you're only applying small pigments, just one bottle of this just to standardize your green look across everything actually makes a lot of sense than mixing it up each time you go, because you get a uniform look. And that was the reason why when I started this set, I did it. Also, because I've got these things and I don't want stuff to dry out, especially expensive stuff, so I'm using it. But I wasn't expecting to have the mental health crash that we had. But now I'm coming back, I know it's going to match perfectly. So because I'm using this. So these professional products do have a place. Yeah, a place. As all products do. It's about knowing what to use and when to use it. So my recommendation to you is, if you're doing anything long term that involves washes and weathering and that sort of stuff, maybe use a professional base for the wash. Just so it's standardized. Not because you can't do it and mix your own up, but just so it's standardized. Now, the way we're going to do this, dead simple. I've got water, I've got a plate, yeah, I've got a couple of brushes. I have a big brush, yeah, which we're going to use wet, and we're going to use that to apply to, we'll start on a simple tiny rock. Well, not a tiny rock. In fact, yeah, let's start over here, because I've got a crack on. Now, this is a two-part process, okay? What we're going to be doing is first doing a general wash, letting that completely dry, and then once it's dried, I'm going to be coming in and doing more specific washing. Sort of, first one is a general colouring. Second one brings it to life by hitting where it would be the most greenest because of the rainfall and stuff like that. But you can't do that with a single wash. Yeah, so the first coat we've got to apply down, but there are techniques to it. So we've got a rock here. Yeah, a wocky wok. Yeah, we are going to get a little bit of pigment out. Yeah, so clean brush. Yeah, put some pigment on there. If I put it on there and I turn it around like that so you can see it, it's an army green basically, a drab green. Sap green, bit of grey, you'll have it nailed. Right, now, my next job is, because I'm applying a wash to this, I want the pigments to flow over and not stain it. So I'm going to pre-wet it. Yeah, and what that basically means is I'm just going to slather it in water. What this does is it allows the wash to literally flow over and let me move the pigments around to where I want to put them. Now, normally when you do washes, you start from the top and you wash it down. When you're doing mouldy washes, green washes, you do not. You do that is the worst thing you can do. You have to do it from the bottom up. Yeah, remember, the mold, it comes from the dampness of the ground and it grows up. You know, it's organic. The green is I need to study what that is because I don't actually know what it is, but it's organic. It grows, yeah, and it grows from the ground up. So if you put your wash on the top and you spread it down, you get darker green at the top than you do at the bottom. And your brain goes, yeah, that's not right. And for some reason, even though you don't know, your terrain looks poo. Rubbish. I don't know what words I can use, but it looks rubbish. So what you have to do is instead add your pigment at the bottom and drag it up. Yeah, so while it's wet, we can come along and I can dip it in here, yeah, and then I can drag it up. What that means is I'm getting my wet pigment, and it will be lighter. Remember, when you add water to these, it reflects light, it gets a load shinier, it's going to end up much darker. I know that, too much water. I know that, yeah, but the important thing is to make sure the area you're applying it to is wet, yeah, and then what I'm going to do is just with my fingers, I'm going to smear it back down because it wouldn't be on the top bits. Of course, you could use a brush or some technical thing for this, but I'm having a hobby. I like playing. I like getting my fingers messy and wet. I love it, playing around with fingers, just rubbing it. Calm down. Right, back to terrain. I'm having too much fun. I'm enjoying the new style, folks. Anyway, listen, what I did want to say is, right, I'm going to carry on doing this on the camera and we'll just have a quick chat. Right, listen, all the people who've sort of got me those clinical art therapy books and the other stuff, I need to do a shout out, yeah? We'll do that while this dries. But thank you. I'm learning quite a lot, yeah? I'm learning how laughter and stuff like that is very beneficial for me and for you. I'm treating you. You've been clinically treated. No, you're not, because I can get sued for clinically treating you. But, oh, I got distracted. Right, this is why you don't add it right to the top. Luckily, because it's wet, you can get a tissue and dab it off. Idiot. I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. I'm allowed to call myself an idiot. Because I got distracted because I'm having too much fun. Yeah, right, what we are. Yeah, well, the people who got me the clinical art therapy books, thank you. I'm not treating you because that could get you in trouble. But little things about making people laugh and having a good time and making people relax, and the physiological benefits for your mental health, for your reducing stress, improving your immune response and all that sort of stuff. I'm up for helping you with that, guys. So feel free to have a giggle. In fact, I forgot my bloody shirt. Ooh, right. That's a bit of a mistake. Right. Also, got to make sure I do the skull. But I didn't wet the skull, so we'll just throw a bit of water on there. And then we'll add some pigment. Now, to get that rock basically done, I've used next to nothing. Yeah, you can see I've got it a little bit more green there. Let's wipe some of that off. Yeah. And then I can come in once that's dried and start to specifically sort of work it up. Now, while that dries, listen, guys, I want to thank you for supporting me. There are things on the wish list, as usual. I will put some comedy items. Someone suggested that I should be kilt wearing, so yes. There might be some kilt-related items on there, or if they've gone, there might be bags or something like that. But if I'm wearing a kilt, I'm doing it properly, because I'm having a giggle. And I will not wear pants if I'm wearing a kilt. I'm doing it properly. So, there's that. We've done that basic effect. Yeah. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do that on all of these. And you guys don't need to watch this for me, because I'm going to listen to some tunes and bop myself. I like dancing while I do terrain. Surprise. I'm having fun. Right. I'm getting too excited. I'm having a bit too much fun. I better just crack on with my music. And I think Enya. I think I need to calm myself down because I'll get distracted. But basic technique. Apply the water first. Yeah. With your base pigment, introduce that into the bottom. Bring it up. Remember, don't apply it to the top. Keep a tissue close. And if you do flood it out, you don't want to hit it with a tissue. While the rock's still wet, you can just get extra water, and before it's dried, wash it off. Yeah, because the pigment will not set until it is dried, so you can manipulate it. So that's the basic tips. It's dead easy to do. Yeah, just give it a go, get practicing. Remember, as long as it's wet, you can work it easy. That wasn't even a pun, but right, I'm cracking on. Although I'm looking bright and cheerful, I am not bright and cheerful. We have a terrain issue and I have a slight life issue, which we will talk about. Don't worry, no drama. Yeah, but as you can see, I remember the shirt. It's rather colourful. Rather. You bought it, I'll wear it. There's stuff on the wish list. We're having a laugh. I quite like it, actually. I got some looks because I wore it. I didn't wear it, put it on in the studio. I wore it to come to the studio. It's a lovely sunny day. I might go in town with it. In fact, I think I will. With my shades. Anyway, right. Let's talk terrain. We have got whiting. Yes. Do you see it? Do you see where my wash has gone white? Look at that. Yeah. Now, if you've ever come across whiting before, yeah, it's basically an irregularity in your wash mix. It's PVA, it's got thrown off. It can happen sometimes when the PVA gets old. Now, if I look at my actual wash mix, yeah, that's actually quite empty. Yeah, so I don't know what the consistencies are like. So, one, give it a good stir. Now, when it comes to whiting, there's a couple of things you can do. You can just go over it with another wash, yeah, and just make sure it's a little bit better and it will go down, yeah. Or you can just soak it in cold water. That will reactivate the PVA, and then you can use something like a tissue to draw the excess PVA off. Basically, it's an imbalance of what you call it, of PVA and pigment and water and stuff like that. But you can draw it off, and then once you have, you can lay down your pigment properly. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if this is knackered, because I've got other ones, or whether I just didn't stir it enough and it'd been sitting for too long. So we're just going to do another wash. Now, it does hamper the sort of build a little because it drags it on a little bit longer. Yeah, but we can deal with that. Yeah, because I'm quite curious. And not just that, we're learning. So let me get it on the screen so you can nicely see. Yeah. Now, with regards to where it's happened, it hasn't happened on all the rocks. Smaller rocks, fine. Yeah. Which is pretty typical. When you get whiting, you always get whiting when you put a lot of volume down. Generally, it's because you've decided to load it on at some point, yeah, and you've picked up perhaps a clump of PVA. It's been mixed if you haven't realised it's a clump of PVA, and just in that one little dab that you put down, there's a much higher concentration of PVA. And it sort of throws things out because there's all the chemicals in here that help balance things. And when you knock the PVA and the PVA pigment water, yeah, the PVA, which is the bonding, the pigment, which is the colour, and the water, which is the medium. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. When you get those sort of knocked out in a blob, you can get the whiting. So that's where it's from. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let me show you some of the other pieces. So on this one, yeah, you can see where I've got a little bit of whiting there. But generally, around here, it's been okay. That's because round at the bottom, I actually worked it a little bit more and I probably mixed it in a bit better on the actual piece. Whereas this one, I didn't work it on because I didn't want to spread it round. And so it got dabbed in. And that's where it's from. Interesting, eh? There's a little bit on that piece there. And on the buildings, yeah, you can just see we've had the same whiten effect into the lines. Yeah, so we're going to address that. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what's got me miffed, but I'm going to tell you about something important before that. Yeah, I've been decided, as you know, yeah, I support Models for Heroes, the veterans, the forces and services. Yeah, it's not a charity; it's a charitable organisation. Yeah, a CINC. I have to get that right. Yeah, but basically, I support them. Now, one of the things I've wanted to do is do sort of fundraising. In fact, that just cleaned it off. Right, now I've thrown some water on. That's just really, I wonder if it was just powdery. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to wet this down. I'm going to let it dry again and just see what happens. Because I've got time. It's only a coat of water. So, in fact, what I'm going to do, no, there's no filler in there. It's not coming from there. I'm just going to wet these down. We'll see what sort of result we get. I'm curious. Normally when I get whiting, I get it on when I'm doing like green work and stuff like that. So normally I have to soak it off. It's rare I actually get it on buildings, to be truthful, but I've had it this time. So I'm curious to find out. So what I'm doing is basically, I'm just wetting this down. Yeah, and then all I want to do is see, let's see how it dries out. Because, in fact, it's everywhere. Around here. So, let's wet it down. We'll use this as a bit of an experiment piece. Yeah, I can leave it for 5 minutes while I potter on with something else and then we can come back to it. Right, my terrain sets. Yeah, I've been wanting to raise money for Models for Heroes as part of my charity work. Yeah. And so what I've decided is, as I build sets, now we're getting back into it and I'm going to be building more sets. What I want to do is I'm going to give them, once they're built, to Models for Heroes to raffle off. Okay, so if you want to get your hands on a terrain set, yeah, that's how you'll be able to get your hands on one. You can buy a raffle ticket, and that helps the veterans and it helps the services. Yeah, and it helps Models for Heroes. And it gets rid of my terrain set, but I don't feel like I'm selling it to the highest bidder or so anyone can have a chance. Now, the way it's going to work is, yeah, there's going to be nothing about, yeah, I'm having nothing to do with the running of the raffle. Yeah, I'll build the stuff, I'll send it down to Models for Heroes, they'll have it to ship out, yeah, and they'll run the raffle and collect all the money and announce the winner. I will just be promoting it at that point, and I'm hoping to get a few more people on the YouTube thing jumped in to sort of help promote. Yeah. So that's what's going to be happening with my with this terrain set. What I'm hoping is, as time goes on, that becomes the standard way and I can raise some good money for them. Yeah. So that's also my motivation for getting this set finished. Yeah, because I want to get it off to Malk so I can raise some money. So that's one of the things I'm kind of happy about. Now, while I've just finished wetting this, yeah, is any of my followers in DEFRA, the Department for the Environment and Rural Affairs, or anything so Natural England? You see, for those who don't know, yeah, my ex-wife, yeah, who a long time and who is still a good friend, is an ecologist. Yeah, now she's working actually as a tattooist right now. Yeah, because there's no ecology work at all, unless you're surveying bats, and that's well done. But anyway, I used to do a lot of conservation work with like Staffordshire Wildlife Badger Trust and Staffordshire Wildlife and all sorts. And yeah, the whole family used to do it because if Kez was into it, we all were. Yeah, that's the way it happens if you've got an ecologist in the family. Guess what you're doing this weekend? You're rebuilding a river or you're putting log steps down or you're doing something. Yeah. So, got a real interest. Yeah. One of the reasons I'm looking a lot healthier and I'm a lot more sharper in my mind. I'm not 100% there, yeah, but I am better, a lot better, is that I've been spending a lot of time in sort of nature, in the woods and that sort of stuff. I've been eating properly, you know, looking after myself, but I've been spending a lot of time in the woods. My local woods, Park Hall Country Park. And I've gone up there and my local authority have completely just abandoned their statutory obligations to maintain the country park. Now, just so you know, in the UK, yeah, we have local parks, which are run by the council, and then we have, yeah, things like national parks and country parks. National parks, I think, are run by national organisations, but country parks, yeah, they come under the Countryside Act of 1949, and basically they're big open country bits of country that people can go to, and they were a gift from the Queen after World War II. After everyone, you know, all the people in the cities worked and went through the Blitz and everything, when Her Majesty the Queen became Queen after she was Princess Royal, she sold off like a third of her royal estates, and she funded all the royal parks, and she gave all the people in the cities royal parks so they could have parks in the cities. So that's where you get all the all the royal parks in London from. She funded all the country parks, yeah. So she set up all the country parks around the country. So they're sort of gifts from the Queen, although they're not, but they're national parks. Yeah, and she also set up the NHS. So she sold off all the land and built up all the NHS. But a lot of people don't realise about the Queen is when Churchill was in the battle bunkers smoking his cigars and giving the old V symbol, you know, the old V symbol. Yeah, and we will fight them on the beaches. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, yeah, She was, she was driving army ambulances through the firestorms of the Blitz of the night. And her parents, the king and the queen at the time, couldn't stop her. Yeah? So, she was a medic, a bit like us. It's why she's the patron of the Royal Army Medical Corps. And I've only met her very briefly as I was standing there with a tray, yeah, with drinks at a function once. But she's a lovely person, or she was a lovely person. But anyway, country parks are like a gift. Now, because of that, there's like really big laws about you've got to keep them accessed, you've got to keep the ways, you've got to keep the signage up and all this. And my local authority, they get money from the government to do this. I've been up there, it doesn't look like they've looked after it in bloody 10 years. I mean, there's signage rotting away, brown signage, there's paths. I saw kids getting stung. So if you're wondering why I've got rashes and cuts on my arm, it's because I've been cleaning the plaster myself, because I know what I'm doing. And I also know it's not illegal. And kids can't even go down the path. So, on that, if there's anyone from Natural England, any ecologists, or anyone or any solicitors, or anyone fancy, like, give me a hand. Yeah. And one of the things I actually do is I'm involved in a local group called FAB. It's called Physically Handicapped Able-Bodied. It's a social group where able-bodied people hang out with physically handicapped people in wheelchairs. And we're just a social group. We do things. We go to the cinema together and stuff like that. I used to do it a long time ago when I was a physio. Yeah, I haven't been a member of a FAB club in like 30 years. So I've just decided, right, I'm doing it. I've joined the local FAB club, but there's mobility issues and I want my FAB friends to be able to go around the park. So if there's anyone who knows about mobility as well, yeah, come on, we'll have some fun. Help me just my local authority, and let's make sure they actually give the local kids like the space they're supposed to have to play in. It is a deprived area after all. I mean, the park was supposed to be for the local kids from the local estate, which is the largest estate in social housing estate in Europe, or it was. But anyway, this is drying. We'll come back after the flash and we'll take it from there. Right, I'm a little bit calmer over my little chat about the local authority now. And I've also figured out what's going on with this. Come here, have a look. Right, we had whiting, which I put down to PVA. But if you notice, I've done my wash. It's moved it about in some places, but not in all. But I've got white spotting there. Yeah, just in the recesses. Now, here's the thing. If it was PVA, that wouldn't happen. It would dilute, it would spread. The only reason that those white spots have collected, and they've collected again in the recesses further down, is because they're not PVA. That's filler. It's like a pigment. Yeah, it's a material. That's why it's not dissolving. That's why I can break it down, but it's still little spots. Now, why have I got filler on it? Now, what I reckon is, at some point, when I wasn't thinking quite as straight and as sharp, I've used this brush for something involving filler. And there was filler involved in it. Now, that would explain why the larger pieces I've done, yeah, have got little bits of filler on, because I would have excessively wetted them at the start and dropped the filler straight in before I went in with my pigment over the top. But the smaller ones wouldn't, because I would have just brushed over those gently. And the filler would have been retained in the ferrule right at the top. So it would have got water in it. As I started moving the brush around, it would have sort of loosened up, it would have gone down. And then when I've come to the big bits and I've slathered them with water ready to sort of go in with the pigment, I've dumped the filler in. Now that's a good thing, because now I know what the cause is. Now, the important thing for you to remember of this, and the learning thing is, remember cross-contamination. We don't just use different brushes for different jobs because they're better at applying certain things, such as I use these for fillers and only these for fillers because the fibres in the actual brush heads, they're hollow, they're badger hair. Yeah, so they suck the moisture out of the filler. Yeah, and they allow me to manipulate filler better. They're also really tough, so I can work with filler better. And they get really gobbed up at the bottom because they're literally solid with filler. But that's okay because they're dirt cheap. These are expensive, yeah, and they are quite large and they are a bit firm, which is why I can think maybe I just grabbed one and did it, yeah, and I didn't wash it out properly, yeah. So it's not just about using the right brushes for the right technique. It's also about maintaining that discipline, yeah, so that you don't get cross-contamination. And later in a terrain build, when you use a flooding brush or a wet brush, you don't end up with filler on your terrain piece. Now, so that's the teaching point from this point, yeah, cross-contamination. Now, it has happened, but luckily I've got a wetting brush. Now, this is a brush that's only ever used for PVA, and I know this because it's solid. I have to loosen it, but it's got nice fibres on it, so it spreads water really well. But there's a wedge of PVA in there that'll take ages to clean out. It's been a while. I'll have to do some brush maintenance. I'll have to get my brush soap. Right, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to just revisit it. We're going to pigment it up. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use sap green for this. Yeah, I'm going to put a bit of sap green down. Yeah, I'm also going to use a bit of this because this doesn't have a problem with it. It's filler. So I'm going to use the sap green to reinforce that. i.e., I'm adding a little bit more pigment in it. I'm making it a little bit brighter. Yeah, because it's going onto a darker layer. I'm just going to wash this on. Yeah, I'm not even mixing it evenly. Because if I mix it evenly, I'll get an even coat. If I mix it unevenly, I'll get a little variations in my wash between the greens. Yeah, you won't see it that much, but you will. Your mind will see it and it will work. Yeah, so when you're mixing washes up for things like this, don't mix them too evenly. Get a good mix, but leave a bit of variation. Right, so that's already wet. Sorry, we might as well go straight in. Right, as you can see, I've got my white bits here. Let me bring that in. Yeah, I'm just going to wet where my white bits are. I've got to remember where my white bits are. And then I'm just going to work my washing. Yeah, so all I'm doing is, as you can see, I'm going to pull this over here. Yeah, all I'm doing is just really loosening that down. I'm going to dump it into there. Yeah. Now remember, we're going flock on these, so I'm going into wherever this, wherever my filler has gone in. Yeah, if I want to thin it out, I can just do a quick drag it out with a bit of water. We are being real slap at dash here. It's okay. Yeah, as I said, we're going to be putting bits of moss and that sort of stuff on it. So the main thing is just let's get rid of these white bits. Yeah, add a little bit more detail into the recesses where it'd be. Okay, so what I'm basically doing is I'm going along, I'm looking at the recesses where the water would gather. The water would gather there, there'd be the most moisture, so there'd be the most moss. Yeah, which is why we start at the bottom greener and we work our way up. Because that way, any excess will roll down. Yeah, so follow it round. I'm also not touching the top of these, so I can just manipulate it. Yeah, now I can just throw some water on there and then just throw some pigment in. Yeah, and this is it. This is basically the fun bit. Yeah, now I'm not going to carry on because I'm likely going to go on about my local authority. It's supposed to be for veterans and people like that. It's mental health. Oh, see, this is the old physio in me coming back. I don't like it when people like drop their duty of care. Ooh, bothers me. So anyway, on that, if there's anyone who can help me give my local authority a good on the environmental stakes, please get in touch. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on with this technique, and all I'm doing is using my little little technique to just pick things up a bit and clean them up. Feed it in. It'll be really beautiful. Now I'm going to crack on with this. I've also got to these sort of like bright bits here. I've got to put a bit of a wash on those. For those, I'm just giving them a blast strong tone. Yeah, it's quick and it's easy. Saves me mixing up a wash. Yeah, but we've got to get these greened up first. Now, with regards to greening up, I can see you putting it on, but you've got to remember, this is the sort of effect I'm going for. Yeah, a real greeny green. Yeah, in fact, there's a little bit of white there. So let's just make that disappear. Yeah, all right. Anyway, I'll crack on with this. I'll see you after the flash. Well, I had hoped I'd be coming in and saying, hey, look how wonderful this looks. But I don't think it was filler on my brush. Here, have a look at this. Notice how there's more white pigmentation on there? And on there. And in there. Yeah. That hasn't come from my brush. I know that for a fact. And it hasn't come from the sap green that was in it. So it's this. Now this is a bit of a git because it's making me question all of these. That's probably about 40 quid down the track. Expensive modelling materials. I should stick with paint. Right, so with that in mind, let me show you how I'm going to fix it. Because we're going to fix it when this happens. It is fixable. Does your head in, because I wanted to be wrapping this video up today. So I'm going to have to do the edit up the BritCon video tonight. So you've got a video for tomorrow. So if you're watching a BritCon video on Tuesday, it's because of filler. Okay. Vallejo. I'm interested. Anyone else who's got experience of using these Vallejo mixes? Yeah? Have you had any experience with this? Because I've never used these before. Yeah, so I don't know. But it's not filler and it's concerning me. And I don't want to use them anymore for anything else till I know what the bloody hell's going on. So if anyone knows, let me know in the comments. In the meantime, let's fix it old school. Right. Here I have some sap green. Yeah, I have added some grey. And that brown is the standard brown I'm doing on the ground. I've mixed in 4 parts green, 1 part grey, 1 part brown into that. And I've got this lovely drab green. Now, I've still got all the other colours so I can mess around with it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point weather. Yeah, I'm just going to do the washing we should have done. Yeah, so I've got some water here. Yeah, splash some water in. Let's soak my brush up a bit. Yeah, let's get a bit of a wash in. Let's put this drab wash on. And we'll see what sort of effects we have. If not, I do not want to be I do not want to be going back and having to repaint this, but let's see what we get. Let's water it down a bit. Yeah, so what I'm basically doing is I'm making sure I've got pigment, everything where the white is. Yeah, and then I'm going to just basically blend in the colour from there and blend it in. Now, a little bit excessive, more than I would have liked to have done, but this is a remedial fix. Yeah, and it will fix it. I know it will, because I'm applying pigment over it and bonding. Yeah, I'm applying no more of that actual mix, even though I mixed it in quite heavily. Yeah, next job, let's take off some excess. Remember, the actual the actual stuff that we're trying to cover is in the recesses. So that's where I want my and if you notice, yeah, it's a little bit. Now, what I can do is just come in and I can stipple it over with a bit of grey if I want to line it up. But we need to blend it in. Yeah, so let's blend it in. So, I've got a lot of greening up to do to fix this. That's my day in the studio. This is all I'm basically doing. Just adding a load of green onto it, slipping it off. Yeah, and then taking it from there. Yeah, it's already drying. It better be drying, showing through, otherwise I'm going to go nuts. Right, I'm going to crack on with this. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the BritCon video on Tuesday. More videos coming. Right, you get back shortly. So folks, the washing's done and I've got pretty good results. Here, come take a look. Right, okay, on the rocky rocks, yeah, they've all sorted. Once I actually got some pigment in there, I mixed a little bit of brown in as well to get that nice sort of muddy effect, but I need to apply that to a couple of the others. Yeah, all I did, a little bit of the brown, mixed it round, and we got that beautiful effect there. Yeah, now, so, but on this piece, you will see that we have dealt with it, but we've got some white lining, not lightning, yeah? That's the filler. I'm looking at my monitor there. That's the filler. It's definitely filler. I'm assuming it's probably something in the mix, yeah? Perhaps I picked up a bit of a blob or something. Perhaps it needs mixing up. More experiments, I'll play with those. just a little bit of frustration. Yeah, but it's dropped right into the recesses. Now, what that means is a little bit of PVA, a little bit of pin wash, a little bit of my flocking material. Those white lines are going to go. I do not need to worry about them. Yeah, I am happy. Yeah, same with this building. Yeah, we've dealt with the white lines. We've got some in there. I don't know how that got in there. Yeah, but it's looking okay. We have got some white lines here. You see how it's it's all pulled in and dropped into the recesses. Once again, we can touch that up. Yeah, we can put some inks on it. We can deal with it. But overall, it started off as a video showing you just simple techniques of how I do my swampy rocks. Then it turned into a battle against the filler. I feel like I've won. Now, I do know I need another step to go before we take this on to the next stage. Yeah, but the flocking and that sort of stuff is part of the resin video, which is coming very shortly, i.e. next week, as we wrap this terrain set up. Yeah, because as I said earlier in the video, this terrain set, once it's completed, is going off to another home, that being modelled for here. But nothing is set yet until I finish the terrain set, which is what I'm going to be doing next, which is a little bit more swampy work on the rocks. Yeah, just a little bit of that brown. I've shown you, I've seen it, don't need to show you again. See you in the next vid. I need to wash up my root trees, got to do those. We've got a few little jobs getting ready for the resin video, which is what I'm up to today in the studio. Yeah, so I'm going to crack on with that. Now, in the meantime, it's good to be back, folks. It's good to be properly doing terrain again, and there is plenty more, including the stuff that I'm doing from home. So the good times are rolling. Now, on that, I've not been around for a while. Things have declined on Patreon, stuff like that. I am struggling, okay? I need some help because I am struggling and I need the help. So if any of you are the top percentiles want to jump on the old Patreon or the old PayPal link down below in the description, I'd really appreciate it, guys, because you're my bosses. You're the ones who pay. I can't no one else ask. In the meantime, as long as you keep supporting me, I'll keep helping you with your hobby, and now I'm going to start using the terrain sets we build to help veterans and police officers and fire service and ambulance service and nurses, frontline nurses and A&E and stuff like that, to deal with their complex PTSD. Whilst on the other side, I start, hopefully next year, I start my MA in clinical art therapy, so I can help them a bit more as well. Adventures, but I can't do that without your help. So, links down below, guys. Those good uns. In the meantime, I'm going to crack on. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra.